In the European continent, which was once an important battlefield for 2 world wars, soldiers from various countries engaged in large-scale machine gun strafing and tank treading, with various advanced equipment taking turns to the field. However, war is a grinder, and no amount of advanced equipment is enough. Countries had to use a large number of old equipment. The GS carriage is a type of transport equipment that is widely used but has almost no presence in the eyes of military enthusiasts. The GS carriage is a type of 2-axle carriage that the British officially included in military vehicles in the late 19th century, undertaking land transport tasks. Although the number of motor vehicles such as trucks and tractors increased by the outbreak of World War I in 1914, Britain still heavily relied on GS carriages. Other countries and regions also faced similar situations. For example, in 1917, Britain deployed over 368,000 horses on the Western Front in Europe, with only a small percentage of the horses being used for cavalry, officers, signalers, etc. Most of them were draft horses or pack animals, with the majority of these horses used to pull carriages as transportation. In fact, compared to carriages of the same period, the GS carriage does not have much difference. From photos, it can be seen that this type of carriage mostly uses straight wooden materials, with a rectangular cargo box, front wheels slightly smaller than the rear wheels, and the entire front axle can be slightly turned to facilitate the vehicle's turning. The carriage does not have suspension, but a simple steel plate spring is installed under the driver's seat. As a military vehicle, the GS carriage adopts unified standards for easy mass production, which can be made by small workshops. It does not have various fancy decorations, and some key parts are reinforced with screws and metal plates. Its main feature is its simplicity and durability, making it very practical in the absence of adequate road infrastructure and harsh battlefield conditions at the time. The GS carriage usually only requires 2 horses for traction, and if there is too much cargo, more horses, up to 6, can be added. It is not realistic to expect it to transport too much and travel at high speeds, as its power is only 2 to 6 horsepower, and the power varies depending on the specific situation of the horses. The carriage itself is not suitable for high-speed travel. Due to the scarcity of resources during wartime, the British Army did not have enough horses, so the Army spent £6,750 specifically to purchase and train horses and mules. Canada once transported 130,000 horses to Britain during World War I, and such a large-scale supply of horses inevitably led to varying quality, as horses are not like chickens or rabbits that can breed quickly. The GS carriage was used by Britain during both World War I and World War II, but it was not suitable to be heavily deployed on battlefields such as North Africa during World War II. Times have changed, and various trucks are more suitable for the battlefield, but the GS carriage still played a role in the British homeland. World War I was the heyday of the GS carriage. In addition to the British Army, the Australian, Canadian, and other armies also used it extensively. Many old photographs show variations in the form of the GS carriage, which is due to different manufacturers and production techniques. For example, the Australian version, the Australian Army equipped new carriages for the troops in the years before World War I to transport equipment. They copied the British GS carriage, but because the Australian carriage manufacturers at the time did not have much experience and craftsmanship in this area, they made some changes, such as the use of hot rivets instead of screws for reinforcement. These Australian versions of the GS carriage were considered inferior to the original British version. The GS carriage is also suitable for civilian use, such as on farms for transporting fruits and vegetables. After World War II, the GS carriage lingered in Britain for a short time but quickly disappeared under the impact of trucks.